Welcome to the Talegate podcast with your host, Al Blanton. At Talegate, we celebrate the rich history of sports in the state of Alabama. So come with us as we relive great moments, great games, great players and coaches, and in the process, preserve memories for a lifetime. So you grew up in Town Creek, Alabama, and had this tremendous football culture. What was that like for you growing up there?
Well, Town Creek, there's really football was the only thing to do. You start at an early age, Little League football, and you play with the guys you play with from that time on all the way through high school. By the time you get to high school, you're so familiar with each other that you know who's going to do what when they're going to do it. And I think over the years it paid off, obviously at state championships, but paid off that you're in a tight situation, you knew who you could count on and who you needed to back up. So that was a great thing about growing up there.
Now, y'all had won a couple of state championships at Hazelwood before you even got there, and you kind of helped to carry on that tradition of the school and win more state championships.
Yeah, we did. I had won a couple. Actually, I was on the 75 team. I was a little water boy. And, my dad was a football coach, so I'd been around football all my life. So, you kind of get. I always say that, it was predestined for me because it's something I had done all my life. And being a leader, I saw people lead and, who played what roles on the team. And by the time I got there, it was the old hat for me.
Yeah. And you had a group of brothers that were in the same household, and what was that like for you what was it like at the dinner table?
Well, not on the dinner table, everyday life. It's competitive. Somebody does something good, you got to go out and prove that you're better than that. I know Chris and I, high school, he would run 3 or 4 touchdowns. So my goal would be go out when I get in, and I've got to either match that or beat that. And I think one game we played, I had 6 and he had 5, and we ended up, I think it was like 88-8 or something like that. We beat the team. So
Was there a friendly competition between the brothers? Did y'all get razzed from each other, or endure anything from your brothers?
All the time. I know when I started Little League, I was offensive guard, right guard, believe it or not. And my uncle would give you $1 for every touchdown or quarter or something like that. And I'm playing guard. Chris was running back, so he was cleaning up. He scored 3 and 4 touchdowns a game. So after our games, he would go to the concession stand, hot dogs, hamburgers, eat, get a soda. So and I would ask him about buy me one, and he would. So I figured out at an early age, hey, I'm blocking for you, and you're not going to buy me a hot dog. So one game I decided to tell the guy in front of me, hey, number 33 is getting the ball. And I would just step back and let it go. And we did it a couple times. I told Chris, he's like, you're not blocking. And I said, you don't give me any of your money when you score. I said, you can at least give me a quarter. And he's like, I'm not giving you anything. So they called another sweep. I did the same thing. So we get back to the huddle. We're fighting in the huddle. And we get up to the stands after the game. We win the game, of course. And my dad says, I saw you guys out there fighting on the field. What's going on? So I told him, I said, I asked him to share some of his profits. He wouldn't. And my dad said, well, son, I think you got a problem. Y'all need to work it out. Well, I ended up getting a quarter out of the deal. So, we kind of negotiated a little settlement there.
When did you start to garner the attention of SEC schools?
Well, actually, Chris did first. He was being recruited by Auburn my sophomore year. He was a junior. And we went to, I went to so many Auburn games before I ever set foot on the University of Alabama's campus. He was going to Auburn. They had a little situation. He came out the year, unfortunately, as a running back the same year as Bo Jackson. And of course, that class was loaded with running backs. And he ended up not signing with them and went to the University of North Alabama. So, that opened the door for Alabama. The pipeline went from there. He transferred in after his freshman year at UNA. And then, of course, all the other brothers and cousins started after that.
And you were recruited by Bear Bryant.
I was being recruited by Coach Bryant before he passed. And then Coach Perkins came in and he honored the scholarships and continued to recruit and just letting me know that he was going to change to a pro-style offense, which was great for me at that time because, Coach Bryant was running a wishbone. And I needed a little more size on me at that time to run a wishbone. But for a pro-style offense, it was built for me because I ran that in high school.
What were your interactions with him like? Did he come to Town Creek, or did you meet him in Tuscaloosa?
I went for an official visit in Tuscaloosa the Sunday before he passed on that Tuesday. And we sat in the office, and I'll never forget, I hadn't made a decision where I was going at that time. So he asked the question. He's like, so you made a decision, where are you going? And I wasn't ready to tell anybody where I was going at that time. So I'm sitting on the couch, and I'm sitting in a chair. My mom and dad sitting on the couch, so I look at them. And so he says, why are you looking at them? They're not going to spend 4 or 5 years here. You are. And I just told him, I said, I'm not ready to make that commitment yet. So, I still wanted to continue the recruiting process. Of course, I had a trip already planned to go out to Wyoming. Was being recruited out there. I had no intentions of going to Wyoming, but I just wanted the trip. So to take advantage of all the recruiting trips that you could, you got 5, use them. And that was the first one I had done. So I was like, if I commit now, everybody else will pull their trips off the table. So we're not going to do that.
What were your expectations at that point for your career? Did you expect to go to the NFL? What was your mindset?
Once I started being recruited in college, I really hadn't thought of the NFL. I just wanted to be the best I could be at the college level. My expectation for myself was to be, all SEC, all American, and win the Heisman. And that was from day one. That was my goals, personal goals. And it's kind of funny when I got to University of Alabama, everybody's like, well, there'll never be a Heisman Trophy winner at Alabama because this is a team game. I'm like, I'm not sure about that. You can't win the Heisman and win a national championship. It hasn't been done here, so who's to say you can't be the first?
So you got there in '83, and you got some playing time in '83, but '84 was looking to be a breakout year for you.
It was. I was feeling pretty good about '84 because I played a lot in my freshman year. And I worked really hard in the offseason, put on a lot of weight. I went from 176 to 194 in 1 year. That's a lot of weight for my frame. And, going through the offseason, through the summer, it was looking pretty promising. And then we hit the first game, and of course, I threw out a knee injury. So that started all the ups and downs of fighting back to get back on the field.
But you're having a great game against Boston College.
I was. It was, a lot of people like look and say, whoa, man, that was an awesome game. One of the best games they'd seen in college football. But for me, I know the level of competition is different. but that was something that I'd already done numerous of times at high school. You know, 5, 6 touchdowns as opposed to 3. Like, well, that's nothing. I was something I was accustomed to doing. You score one, and it's like, man, if you're going to be the running back, you only score 1 touchdown. You guys not doing too well. You know, it was just my expectations was a lot higher than normal. Normally, when people think that you got to downgrade your expectations when you go to the next level, and I never saw it that way.
Yeah. But you had put on weight, but you didn't lose any of the speed.
No, I didn't.
The run back against Boston College is what I'm thinking about.
No, I didn't. I actually got a little stronger, a lot stronger. I just remember the first time I set foot in the weight room when we were maxing out, and they put 425 on the squat rack, and I took it off. Okay, we're maxing out. I go down, and I go down, and I go down, and I keep going down. I bottom out on the rack and couldn't come up. And, of course, all the guys are laughing because, you're squatting. It goes down. You look like a commercial. It's going to bury you into the floor if you don't get from under that weight. So that day forward, I was like, hey, you guys are laughing today, but you'll never laugh at me again on a squat rack. And eventually, I got to the point that my max weight, the most I'd ever done was 800 pounds. So it's stuff like that. My failures, I like to turn them around and go beyond where I would have been if I hadn't had that goal.
After the injury, how long was the rehabilitation process?
The rest of my career.
So this was something that just continued to plague you throughout the rest of your career.
And even beyond. I think I've had six surgeries with that knee. It's of course the latter part was just cleaning up the last 2. But unfortunately, I came along at a time that knee surgery was still the unknown. 2 years later, I think Gene Jeffs has the surgery and he's got a cast on it. Running 2 months later, where not a cast, but a brace. He has a brace, I had the cast. Got a cast on for 8 weeks, then I went to a brace for another 8 weeks. So by the time I get my leg out of the brace, the atrophy had set in so bad, my leg looked like that pencil you got landed.
What was your mental attitude during that time? You came back a little bit, you had some flashes, but then you ended up playing behind Bobby and...
Well, my mental attitude, it was good. I just knew at the time I wasn't physically where I wanted to be or needed to be. So there was no problem playing behind Bobby at that time. But of course, once I got to where I thought I was healthy enough, then I wanted to compete for the job. Then by the senior year, I ended up, of course, I moved over to fullback, blocking for him. But at that time, I had no aspirations or I had aspirations, but never thought I'd make it to professional ranks. Turned out that the move to fullback helped me get drafted because I showed that I could block and catch as well as run tailback. So it works out. You never know that what you see as a negative turns out to be your positive.
Yeah.
So.
And you played for Perkins and then had an opportunity to play for him again in the NFL.
Right. In Tampa, drafted by Tampa. Coach Perkins was there. And, played there with him. And left there, went to Denver. Plan B, free agency. That's when they should have just started this free agent stuff. Then I was picked up by Miami after I got out of Denver.
The coaches that you played for, tell us about the differences between, a Ray Perkins approach versus a Bill Curry approach.
Coach Perkins probably a little more hard nosed. It was. I've heard a lot about the Junction Boys and with Coach Bryant, Texas A&M. Perkins a little less than the Junction Boys, but we had the Lord Geo. Yeah, for people that have ever heard about that, that's where they take you. There was a gym underneath the Coliseum floor. Take you there and lock the doors and turn the heat up to 90. And you do mat drills and agilities.
He was old school.
Oh, yeah. And that part there, wouldn't trade it for the world. Wouldn't pay you anything to do it again, but I wouldn't trade it because it taught you how to work. You come out of high school thinking you know how to work. You don't know how to work. You know, when it's a little tough and you think you're catching your last breath, you can still go a little harder, a little longer. It was a mental game. They play a lot of mental games with you down there. As soon as you think you're tired, they put you up. Hey, you think you're done, Lord Jim? Let's go run stadium steps. You think you're almost finished now? Let's go run some laps around the track. It's just all mental.
Yeah. Now, you had an NFL career. Most people don't have an NFL career, but it was a fairly short-lived experience,
Right.
and maybe you didn't meet your expectations. And do you still think about the what ifs? Do you think about maybe what could have been, or if had I not have gotten injured, maybe I could have reached my full potential and had a little bit better NFL career than I did.
Well, yeah, you always think about the what ifs. What if you never got hurt? Would you would not? Would you been All American? I just remember high school sitting there watching Bob Hope and the All Americans that came on that show during the Christmas time. It's like, hey, one day I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna be that guy, one of those guys. Uh, then the same thing with the professional. Uh, you want to have the ability to show what you can do, barring any injuries. You. I looked at Emmitt Smith and I go, well, Emmitt never got hurt, other than the shoulder. I think I was coaching with the New York Giants when he hurt his shoulder in the playoffs, and that was toward the end of his career. Other than that injury, he was relatively healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes that for him to become an all-time lead rusher. If he gets hurt, that doesn't happen. Barry Sanders doesn't get hurt. So you got to have that in your favor when you're playing in the league, because as a running back, at least anyway, because if you're not healthy, you can't do your job at the best of your abilities. There's a lot of good running backs out there that didn't have the opportunity or did because of injury that could have done the same or more than those guys.
Mm-hmm. Are you at peace with your career?
Well, as far as playing and putting up the numbers, I would say no. But when I think back and the dream of a little boy from Town Creek, Alabama, yeah.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, you
You
came from Town Creek and went to the NFL. That's a pretty big jump.
Yeah, funny enough that, all my dreams were answered. All my prayers were answered. Hey, I want to go play and coach in the NFL. You did it. Not to the way you wanted it to be, but God had answered your prayers.
How'd you get the job with the New York Giants?
Actually, I just, that was God ordained. I was working in Birmingham at the airport, and I called Al Miller after they had got fired in Denver, and I saw where they had just taken the New York Giants job. So I called to congratulate him. Glad you got your another job blah, 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 do well at 2 yard. And he's like, did somebody call you? Did Coach Reeves call you? It's like, no. He's like, well, give me your number. Don't move away from that phone you're at. It's like, uh, Coach Reeves is going to call you back. So he did. He called. He's like, I'd like to offer you a job. I'm like, well, doing what? He's like, come coach for me. And I said, well, coach, if I want you to fly up, when can you fly up here? And we can talk about it. I said, Coach, I know you. I've been with you. I'll take the job right now without ever seeing what's going on. That's how I took the job. Either I went up, but I took the job over the phone.
Well, that was an absolute blessing
Yeah.
to have that kind of opportunity.
It was, it's because I had told Al long when I left the Broncos that I was probably going to get into coaching. So the opportunity ever came up. You know, keep me involved.
Did you get to experience much of New York?
Oh yeah.
What was your favorite thing about it?
Leaving?
You were a New York guy?
No, I'm not a New Yorker. I love my time there. But it's. I always thought the people were just on the edge and too angry all the time. It's like, man, smile. Be happy and do something. Everybody's walking around with a chip on their shoulder.
It was tough for a country boy.
Yeah, I mean, well, actually, no, it wasn't. I just saw myself becoming, hey, fight fire with fire. So it's like, hey, you talk crazy to me, I talk crazy to you. So it was time to get out when it came.
And then you went to St. Louis after that.
St. Louis.
Is Dick Vermeil as emotional as we think he is?
He is. Oh, yeah.
In a good way, of course.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Dick cries all he as a coach go, okay, here he goes. He's going to cry again. But, he's a good guy. He's one of the best. He allows you to do your job.
What did you enjoy most about coaching?
Most about coaching, helping other guys achieve their dreams. Especially free agents and rookies. Just, being in that spot as a late round draft pick, the what you have to overcome to get on that team to make the 53 roster, and it's not easy because there's a lot of variables that come into play, whether it's numbers at your position, salary cap, numbers at other positions that whether you play special teams or not. You can be pretty good at what you do and still not make the team. But my job was to have you ready as a strength and conditioning coach and control the things you can't control. That's being in shape, ready to play, and know what you're doing. Give yourself a chance. And that's what I preached. If you do those things, if the Turk happens to knock on your door and say you're cut, you leave here with your head high because you did all you could do.
What was the toughest thing about being a coach in the NFL?
Cutting people. Seeing guys go that have the ability. For one reason or another, they kept somebody else that a little less ability, but they feel they need over here. That's probably one of the tougher things. And losing. With every loss comes a whisper. Are we fired yet?
Mm-hmm.
That's a very intense occupation at that level.
Yeah.
You got 32 teams and only one Super Bowl winner. Everybody wants to win the Super Bowl that year. And it's very cutthroat. Mm-hmm. Every city thinks they should win. Other than Cleveland right now, but they still had a parade. So they still have aspirations of doing it on the other end.
Yeah, an Ophir parade. Yeah.
So they'll reload next year. They'll think, we got to do better than what we did this past year, but make no mistake about it, fans are still wanting to Super Bowl there.
Yeah. So what'd you do after you got done with coaching?
Went to the XFL. One of my brilliant moves. Became director of sponsorships and community relations there in Birmingham.
Did you want to make it a football life? Was that your mindset then? That
After coaching, I started thinking about becoming a GM. Let's get on this side and see what that's all about. So that's why that move was made.
so you like the business side of things?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's within my I was business major in college and sports involved. So you're married to two. You're doing everything you wanted to do.
Let's get back to the XFL.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like?
Oh, getting a new league off the ground. There's there were really not a lot of expectations, but you call the people that that are in the NFL and try to get some ideas. What do we do here? What do you do there? If you got good friends there and you can implement what they tell you or what not to do, you learn it.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of people that can say, "Hey, you're doing the wrong thing." You got to do what's best for your team and your market.
Did you get to meet Vince McMahon?
I did, yeah.
How was that experience?
He's a different bird, but he's a risk taker. It's just I just think they went about the whole way they wanted to do it wrong. NFL's an institution. You're gonna try to take them off. Don't do that. If anything, try to befriend them and show them that there's value to having you around.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, they're gonna try to crush you.
So what did you do after your stint in the XFL?
Oh, moved to Atlanta and started working with Ryder, selling transportation packages and trucks and trucks and Ford trucks. So did that for 30 years. Kind of enjoyed that because you once again putting people in business. Mom, pops, the guys that wanted to drive the long haul, get 18-wheelers, tractor trailers. I was surprised that the opportunities in that business. I never, other than occasional run into the people that drove, I never had any experience with that. But it turned out to be something that I enjoyed doing.
I think a lot of people in their post athletic life, they struggle a lot with identity, and I think they struggle a lot with value and purpose. They put their identity in this thing that I'm an athlete, and when that's over, and it's going to come to an end at some point, whether it's at 22 or 40 or at some point it's going to come to an end.
Right.
I think athletes struggle with finding value, identity, purpose in a post-athletic life. And for you, how did you navigate that?
Well, I think nowadays it's not as much. I wouldn't think it is as much because they have a player development person on each team. But when I came along, there was no such thing to prepare you for life after. But as a coach and going through the steps and going through all of it, I would always preach to rookies and free agents, hey, finish school. If you haven't, go finish. Because this thing is over fast. Luckily, if half of you make 3 years, you're good. You did good. those that go beyond that, you're doing outstanding. So, that would be my first part of the first speech I would give to the guys that we gathered up. The other one would be you can't run all day over here and run all night out there. One of us got to give, man. With me being the strength and conditioning coach, I'm going to win. So, I'm going to make sure I win because that's my job. My job is to win and get you on the field every Sunday, and not have somebody calling my head coach saying this guy's just got in trouble for this or that. So if I put enough pressure on you this end, maybe I could help you stay out of trouble. So uh, then most guys get tied up in their identity as a player that they get too far, too deep, and they define themselves only by being a player. And that becomes, when you do that, that's going to be a huge downfall.
It's dangerous to do that.
Yeah.
To put your identity in that I'm a baseball player or I'm a football player.
It's very dangerous because it's going to end. It's just a matter of when. I don't care who you are, it ends. Michael Jordan, it ended. LeBron James, it's going to end. And you've got to find something else to occupy that time and that space. And you want to hope, and I pray that you have something already in the works before that time ends. Say, this is what I'm going to do when I'm done. Or this is what I'm leaning toward. Have something, even if it's not going to be what you're going to do after, it'll put you on the path to doing what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Because you had a plan. Once you start that plan, you'll know that it's not something you want, but it occupies that wasted space that you have, that wasted time, that you don't go out and do something great. So that would be my suggestion to anybody that's in professional sports. Sports are typically a young man's game, unless you're playing golf. You can play a little longer in baseball, but all the others, it comes around before you're 35 years old. And if you plan on living to 70 years old, you got a lot of living to do, buddy. And that's without sports.
Let's talk about your diagnosis. Several years ago, and Kevin Turner was your good friend. Several years ago, you participated in an ice bucket challenge
Right.
for KT and for ALS,
Mm-hmm.
and you made the statement publicly that I never knew that this was what he would be raising money for, was for me. You know, when did you get diagnosed, and tell us about your life since that diagnosis?
Well, diagnosed in July of 2015. And, now that I look back, things were happening to me probably 3 years prior to that. I'm getting hand cramps and different abdomen cramps. And it's like, everybody look at me when I would do this and started cramping. And I was like, you having a heart attack? I'm like, no, cramp or spasm. And we could never figure out why that was happening. Even going to the doctors, and they could never tell me. But they do all the tests, and all the tests come back okay. And like, well, I know there's something, but doc says everything checks out, so you keep moving. Then it got progressively worse. Every time I would sneeze, spaz, cough, spaz, and you would catch me as I would get ready to take a sneeze or cough, and I would instantly grab myself just to hold it so it didn't hurt so bad. And finally, my wife says, we're going to make appointments with every doctor that there is in every branch of medicine that's out there. We'll find out what happened, what this is. So we went through all of them and finally arrived at the neurologist. And I sat there with her, telling her the symptoms. You could look at her eyes and she already knew what it was. It's like, it's not a look that you want to see, as a patient. It's like, whoa, This doesn't look good. She already knows what it is, but then she says, but we'll take the test and find out. So she calls me. She's like, when can you come in? I said, well, this must not be good because otherwise you'd tell me over the phone. That's normally the way this thing happens. Is everything's negative. Then just like tell me if I go on about my business. I said, well, I'll be there tomorrow. So we go and get diagnosed. But from that point, you start to try to educate yourself on the disease.
What have you learned about it?
Luckily, I had a head start on it because I was dealing with KT. Watching what he was going through and uh, just, it's something you never, even to today, like, whoa, it's hard to fathom that I'm sitting here in this position. But it can happen to anybody. Then you go through the why me, why this and that, but then you got to come to the realization, why not you? Sure, who I would venture to say there's a good percentage of people that will have somebody that's watching this tape that will have someone that has ALS, and they will know someone that has ALS because it touches 1 out of 4 people. And until we eradicate the disease, period, it's going to continue to happen.
And you've started a foundation to battle this disease.
We do. What we try to do is help families with the disease. My wife and I we go to the Emory Clinic in Atlanta here, and just sitting in the weight room, you see people from all walks of life, from all over the state of Georgia, all over the state of Alabama. And if you're coming from South Georgia, Alabama, you spend a lot of money. You got to have hotel rooms, gas, food, and spend the night or go back. However it is, however you do it, it's going to cost you. And we talk to people in the waiting room that we determine that, if we can help alleviate some of that burden of doing that, and at the same time help find a cure for this thing, let's do it. If that's what God has allowed me to have and be able to find a cure, why not throw your name on it? And that's why we did it. Hopefully, I would like to think that it may help me, but if it does, I hope that it helps someone else and it helps to find a cure for this thing.
What are you doing every day to fight the disease?
Well, there's no cure for it right now. So it's kind of they've got a few medicines that supposedly slow it down. Then you got to ask yourself, do you want to take this medicine? Good prolonged life, 3-4 months. Now, in my rationale, if it's 3 or 4 months, do you want that 3 or 4 months on the end of your life that you're at the worst possible condition that you can be in? That's a tough question to ask yourself. Well, do you rather just not have those 3 or 4 months? That's a legitimate question that people really have to ask. You want to prolong it for 3 months that you can't walk, talk, do anything, just lay there trapped inside the body that you have no control over. Not even to breathe. Because it's already taken my ability to breathe over. Without this, I would still survive, but I would labor pretty hard to breathe. So, that's some of the questions you have to ask when you have this disease. Are you going to go to trach? with that comes somebody being with you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You have a partner that that's going to be, somebody's going to be with you the whole time.
Are you scared?
Oh no, I'm not scared. Hey, way beyond scared at this point. That's, when you first are diagnosed, yeah, sure, you're scared. Because you don't know, you have no idea what's going to happen. But, if you're a faith-based person, put your faith in God, let Him handle the rest. Because if it's not this, it's something else. We all got to leave here with something or somehow. Some more tragic than others, but you can bet your bottom dollar you're going to leave here. And I always tell people it's like, well, your lifespan is projected 2 to 3 years after diagnosis. We're coming up on 3. Steve Gleason, he's coming up on 7. There's no, a projection is just that, a projection. They can't tell, no one can tell you how long you're going to live with this. I told someone that speaking at a benefit back in the summer. And I told this, it's like somebody here will pass away before I do. And unfortunately, I lead the benefit. Somebody gets killed in a car accident. So you never know when you're going to leave here.
Does your attitude stem from your faith?
It does. The way we were raised. Life gives you lemon, make lemonade, put a lot of sugar in it, baby. That's the way we were raised. It's, bad things happen. Good things happen. You only want the good, none of the bad, you're going to lead a miserable life. Because the bad is what makes you who you are. But you don't know what you'll do until you put into a situation. Then you find out exactly the person that you are, who you are.
Your family, how have they handled this?
Everybody's good. I lost a brother to leukemia. My youngest brother, Clyde, 5 years ago. So we've been down this road. Not to say that it gets any easier. Rough on my mother, but hey, I don't know anybody that wants to lose a child. But, your family's, in this situation, you find out family is pretty consistent. You better have a good one that's going to support you. One thing I could tell anybody that, hey, family's all you got. All these little beefs and things that you have, you probably need to put them aside because you never know what's coming around the corner. And if you got a beef, squash it because it's probably about nothing anyway. It's not worth anything. Is it going to make a difference in a day of your life? Probably not. You probably arguing over somebody borrowed your car and they put gas in it or something. It's like something stupid.
Yeah.
So sitting in this position, you see a lot of things differently. Got a guy the other day, I'm at therapy, and he's like, "Ooh, I hate Mondays. Mondays get on my nerves."
Mondays?
Yeah. I go, well, really? I said, I'll take your Monday you hate. You take mine every day. I said, I bet you never go to bed one that this is your last day. That you'll function healthy enough to take care of yourself. I said, but hey, it's a Monday. I wake up every morning glad to see the day. It's not a bad day. I don't care if it's freezing outside. It's a good day for me.
Yeah. But you're still a huge Bama fan.
Every day, all day. Twice on Saturday. Yeah.
And you got to go to the Clemson game. You got to go to the national championship game.
You gotta live life, man. Regardless of what your situation is, keep living. Hey, who says I can't go? Still do. I've been to Hawaii. I've been to Alaska. We've gone to Belize. I still travel and do everything I've always done. We just do it in a different way. Continue to live. Try to live your life. Yeah. It's not the way I want to see some of these places, but I still enjoy it and have fun.
Is there a little bit of envy with you to watch Alabama's current run now? I mean, y'all had some good years, but these last few years it's been an unprecedented run. Is there a little bit of envy there?
I would love to watch a championship. That would have been great. But I get satisfaction out of it. I just remember when Mark Ingram won the Heisman, and that was one of my goals to bring Alabama the first Heisman. The night they announced it, I was sitting there watching. I cried because I was just so happy that somebody brought one home.
Yeah.
So it's that you'd like to be the person, but I was happy for the person.
But it means something to say, I played football at Alabama. That's a source of pride for you.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Because you know what it takes to play there, what is being taught there. With every university, and from coaching, after coaching, I got an opportunity to meet guys, coach guys that from other places. And then you see how you do things at Tuscaloosa versus how they do them at other places.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like, ooh, don't do a lot at that place. That kind of explains, why you are where you are. And once you started, learning, okay, we're kind of doing things the right way.
Yeah.
Everybody, you can say what you want to all the other schools. There's some out there that are doing it the right way that are not with it. But there are a lot more out there that just good enough to get by. And if you want to be the best at what you do, you can't just do enough to get by. And Tuscaloosa, they don't allow you just to get by. That better word, the process is what it is, and it works because the process is take one thing, do it over and over and over and over until you perfect it. That's the process. There's no secret. There's no, what's the process? Do what you do, be the best at what you do. Every day. Not just because, it's cold out here. I can't do it today. So you do it again today. And this day and age with the kids the way they are, not a lot of outside participation unless you take them and put them on a team or something. We played outside from sun up to sun down. I have to run my kids out of the house something. Hey, get out, go do something. To get away from the video games or watching TV.
Y'all played ball growing up.
All day. We go from one game, we just finished baseball, so let's go play a football game. All day long. Something.
Wasn't much to do in Town Creek.
We just finished that, go play basketball. I didn't beat you at this one, but let's go do something else. Before the day ends, I'm going to beat you at something. Something happens every day, all day, especially during the summers. And it's just, I don't think, not a lot of that's being taught nowadays. Kids learning how to work, what it takes to get to where they want. Everybody wants to have the dream. Everybody has the dream. Not everyone wants to put the work in to achieve the dream. Because there's a lot more involved than just wanting to. And if you take to what they're trying to coach you and not look at it as punishment or why we, coach, I don't want to do this. Oh man, I was elated that, to Lord Jim. Yeah, I hated it, but I knew what the end results were going to be. That I could go and play a full 60 minutes and never come off the field. And if you're a competitor, that's what you want. I always prided myself that you will get tired before I get tired. When you get tired, guess what? I'm going to win. If you can get better as the game goes on, continue to get better. 9 times out of 10, that guy across from me, he's going to slip up and quit somewhere. He may quit 1 or 2 plays, but that may be all you need.
So what's your mental frame of mind now? Or you just kind of, do you think about what might happen to you? Do you think about what, maybe there's a cure, or do you just kind of take things day by day?
All of the above. Of course you think about what may happen. But this disease affects people differently. What happened to KT may not happen to me. Things that happen to me may not happen to Gleason. It just affects people differently. Some people lose their voice immediately. I lost mine. It started to go early, but came back strong. Some people can't walk early in the stages. It just reacts differently. As far as down the line, I don't try not to look ahead, because today is the only one I got. Live today and don't worry about, hey, tomorrow's got its own problem. I can't worry about, have people call and want to schedule way out. And I'm like, oh, you really serious? I can't even visualize that far down the road right now. Just, let's stay as close as we can to this date. Work on this date instead of trying to play it way down the road. Hey, if good Lord allows me to be here, we'll do it. But right now, that's a tentative schedule. Who's to say I will feel how I will feel at that time if you played it a punt down the road. Personally, for me, when I was initially diagnosed, 2015, 2 to 3 years of lifespan. Like 2018.
Here we are.
Yes. New Year's Eve. I got all caught up in the emotion of it. It's kind of like, well, I'm crying like a fat baby. Hey, I beat 2000. I made it 2018. Here I am. So you can't sit and worry about down the line. It just, that's just time, energy you're wasting on something that may not materialize. I hope to be around him a long time. Be it if it's in a chair, fine. That's where God wants me to be, how He wants me to be. I got to accept that, keep it, live life to the best I can, how I can. Yeah, I'd love to jump up. Thinking the other day that I used to love jogging. You could get out and jog. You get, to interact with the outside, see things differently as you would just driving by places. You take your time jogging and look at You see a lot more, and that's why I loved it. But it's something that I don't get to experience anymore. But it is what it is. I still have a lot of memories in my head from the time I did jog. So,
Do you have a bucket list?
I really don't. When things come up, and I've always done this, and things come up I want to do, I try to do them. I've never tried to put off things till, well, I'm going to do this one day. No, we put it on the calendar. We're going to do it soon. I've never been to Alaska. My wife asked, she's like, you ever been to Alaska? Would you want to go? I was like, book it. And we went. I try to think of things that I like to do, want to do, and just do it. Because if you start putting it off, 10, 15 years later, you still haven't done it. And I always said I'd see people do it when they get retired. Oh, we're going to travel. Never make it to retirement. Well, we were going to travel, but he died. No, do it. Let's do it now. And it's maximizing your time you have now.
And that's a wrap. Stay tuned for the next episode of the Tailgate Podcast. And in the meantime, connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. We'll see you next time.